So good afternoon, Achim. Happy to
Good
have
afternoon.
you, happy to meet you again.
Indeed, this time it's a virtual meeting, but anyhow, it's better than nothing, huh? Isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So, how is your India days? Still early in India, in Bangalore. How are you coping?
I think, it's a very strange experience, first of all, to come in a new country and not
Uh-huh.
being able really to get into depths with the country. But that is something which I feel I still have time, I still will do. But so far in the nearly 3 months now I've been here, I think I have done the utmost I could do. And
Mhm.
yesterday evening at a venue, I said, in the time I have been here, I was just completely flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Coming from a country in Africa, a sub-Saharan country in Africa, where development cooperation was the main
Hmm.
topic of my work, coming now here to Bangalore, their innovation, young people, big German companies, big Indian companies, big numbers actually, in terms of employment, in terms of, revenues, in terms of ideas, big numbers is something which I have to learn in this country. And I did see already a lot also with your company. So thank you
Hmm.
actually for showing me.
Okay, that's good, really good. I mean, we are happy from Bosch that you were able to visit our campus and we could meet up with you and listen to your very interesting background and different countries that you have been in, different cultures that you're part of. Again, welcome to India. So from Bosch, I think when we met, we explained about our program called DNA, which is discover, nurture, and align, which is basically engaging the innovation ecosystem in India, which is extremely thriving, one of the largest startup ecosystems. And by exits, the numbers are going up tremendously in the last few years. And also, if you see the technology infusion in startups is also is on the increase. There are a lot many deep tech startups coming up out of India, and many of them are benchmarked to really some of the best in the world. So,
Yeah.
and Bangalore is somehow the, let's say, the capital of startup activity in India. There's a lot of startup culture in Bangalore, and the ecosystem is very strong. Competencies available are very big, and most startups, when they want to launch some new product or new service, they prefer to do it out of Bangalore. So. In DNA, we actually engage multiple promising startups and connect them to the innovation ecosystem, which is basically the accelerators, investors, and the country representatives like you, who can actually connect them beyond India, which is also a very interesting thing for them because they need connections to the world. So, coming from Germany, and Germany startup ecosystem is also very deep and quite thriving. May not be like Bay Area, but in San Francisco, but at the same time, very profound startup ecosystem in Germany. Uh, do you have any thoughts about German startup ecosystem, and what can be done to connect the Indian innovation ecosystem to Germany?
Yeah, thank you for that question, because I think that is something which is at the core of my work in my tenure here, is to bring German and Indian companies on which level ever, bring them together, make them work together. So that is also true for the ecosystem. And there's one thing which I've learned in the short time of my tenure here, is that there is, however, a kind of a different approach on the way how the society is looking at startups. I think that is a very important difference between what is happening in India and what is happening. If you talk about an average German on a startup, will say, yeah, somebody's opening a business, full stop. There's risk.
Hmm.
If I talk to some Indian people here in Bangalore, you know, startup is, and I said a little bit on a lighter note yesterday evening, startup is like in the mind of Indians like cricket. You know, that's what to aspire for. That's just something where everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to have a startup which is successful. So that is not the case in Germany. However, we do have a lively startup system in Germany. It's perhaps more conservative in terms of attracting investment. You know, the funny thing is in Germany, people think about the risk if it's a startup. In India, I feel for them, it's a positive to go into a startup. So see, there is, however, there's a little bit more conservative approach to it. Never mind, I think my government and myself also, we have really seen the importance of this. And you know, even my ministry, we have done together with you and others, we have put that big sun on reg, you know, where we try really to bring together the Indian ecosystem with the German ecosystem. And just recently, somebody told me about a very interesting company which is called Blinken. You know, and that was really a tripartite thing in a very important time. When the COVID pandemic was at the height in Wuhan in China, they needed ventilators, which were produced and delivered by a German company. But the German, you know, technicians couldn't come to Wuhan to put up the things. So there was this Indian startup bringing in, you know, this augmented reality type of product, so that somehow the non-knowledgeable person in the hospital in Wuhan could, by the help of the technicians in Germany through augmented reality, which was very well done in a very low, you know, low bandwidth app, could help these people to put up the ventilators and save lives. So you see, putting up the good things of both sides can bring really very good results. So that is what I will try to do with the help of yourself, with the help of NASCOM, with the help of Big Sun, with the help of GINSAP and other accelerators, incubators, etc. So your DNA program, I think, is also another, you know, kind of cornerstone and a big building on supporting these startups.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I always, you know, keep saying the Indian startups, you know, once upon a time when you work for a small company, which was also a startup in the past, it was only given a name called small company. They were not called as startups because there were not many investors. And if you work in a small company, as they were called in the past, in India, it was very difficult to get a you know, bride or a groom. You know, because India has arranged marriages. But today, if you say, I work for startup, even if you are getting a startup salary, I think you're very proud of what you're doing because aspirationally, you are connected to the progress of India. And I think it's a, with multi-million smart young people engaged in startups, it's a huge avenue for in aspiration India to create cool products, cool services, and to be known as unicorns which can be recognized around the world. So I think, you know, when we look at you know, how startups need to go for success, so there is always two things, right? You know, one, articulating yourself very well into the market, like the Americans. You know, you whatever small is your product or a service, you take to the market very actively, like Americans. On the other hand, you know, your result orientation, your planning, and your thinking, and being self-critical, and you know, being less emotional about what you do is more like Germans. And if you mix the two worlds, the American way of selling and German way of execution, I think the startups could be a lot more successful. You have any some thoughts around it? What is the success mantra for startups?
I think first of all, you must be dedicated to what you're doing, and you must be proud of what you're doing, and you must be somehow assured that the idea you have, that the product you have, that what you want to sell, what you want to put on the market is something which is needed, So I think this kind of dedication you were talking about is one of the key prerequisites. I think without passion, no startup would be successful. So that's one part. Second, it needs partners and it needs supporters. I think there it's where we come into the game, you know, kind of established institutions like the consulate or a government or a big company like Bosch. You know, we are accelerators, we are supporters of these processes. We're not doing that just for the sake of it. Yeah, for sure of that, because there is somehow a result for you as a company. The result is to have perhaps your products being better done and better sold, because there is a startup idea which you integrate products. For me as a government representative, what is so important is jobs. You know, we governments, we are responsible for putting up the basis for jobs, and I think that is something where we can give these startups the head start of doing what they want to do. So there's one thing which I realized, and you were relaying, you were talking about, is the US. Somehow, everybody still is very much focused on the startup in the US. Yes, it's a very active one. It's one of the first ones. Is somehow, you know, the US is somehow, you know, this kind of dream country for a lot of startups, especially if you look at Germany, you know, and they wouldn't think of India, other direction, you know, they would look west and they wouldn't look. I think that is something which I would like to tell the startups and the people who are looking for this conversation. I would like to say to the Germans, please look east, look to India, and look with whom you can partner. And that's the same for Indian startups. Just only don't look only at the US. Just look also at other countries. And Germany is a very important country. I think we have a very vast industrial and very historical industrial and to marry this kind of young, fresh ideas with this kind of elaborated, well settled, and very committed industrial backbone of German industry, I think this can be a real thing to be successful. So that would be, you know, my little hint for the young entrepreneurs to say, don't only look at the known people, look also a little bit aside, look at Germany or vice versa, look at India.
Absolutely, thank you. I mean, from Bosch, having worked with the German innovation ecosystem, it's very profound, very individual. There's a lot of individuality in the German innovation ecosystem, and it's also a lot of well thought out, not fly-by-night models, which is I think a very good connection for Indian startups. Are there any particular verticals or particular areas which you would be promoting in terms of innovation between Germany and India?
Oh, that is a very difficult question, I must admit, because the innovation is so vast. You know, we are talking of, you know, healthcare, we are talking of aeronautics, we are talking of machine tools, we are talking of cars, we are talking of e-mobility. We are talking of government is a big taker of innovation for you know, new systems. So it is really very difficult to say. But you know, if you look at the strengths of the German industry, it is tools and tools manufacturing industry. I think that is something, and car manufacturing. I think, you know, everybody who's thinking about Germany is thinking about that, and for a good reason. And that is not, you know, only the classical car makers like Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, etc. But that's also all the companies which are around. You know, you're working in a company which is, you know, somehow very much driven by, you know, you bring so many. So I think still mobility is one big factor. Machinery is one big sector, and tools are another big sector. And I would say, in a more broader sense nowadays, it's healthcare, because my government has seen during the pandemic that the IoT or AI world in the healthcare sector is not yet as much developed as it should be. Big data is missing, connections are missing, bringing things together is missing. So I think that is a very interesting and very promising sector in my country. And as I said, and that would be my last recommendation, that would be government services, right? Because I think, sometimes, I'm a public sector guy, so sometimes living, working like in the 19th century, with a pen and a piece of paper instead of, going digital. It's not as bad as I say, but, just to highlight that there is a lot to do in this particular sector too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think when I look at Industry 4.0, the word Industry 4.0 comes from Germany. I mean, the factory automation, factories of future, digital factory. Germany has taken a really good step forward. I think it's a benchmark for many others to follow, and there are a lot of things to be done in this space as well. So, thank you for being with us on this initiative. I think Bosch, having a huge history of 150 years of industrial leadership coming from southern Germany, and you representing this country which is known for precision manufacturing, high technology and innovation. I think it's a great connection between Bosch and your organization. So let's say in German style, Prost for our DNA and open innovation platform.
Indeed, thank you so much for inviting me. It was a very interesting conversation, and I wish you all the best for your program. Whenever you would like to continue that conversation, I'm there, and I'm very much ready also to talk to the young people and to exchange with them. So if there is an opportunity, think of me, I will be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day.
Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.